The murder of Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Aqila is a scene that shocked the world and raised public opinion amid sharp criticism of the Israeli occupation government. So, who is Shireen Abu Aqila and why was she targeted this way? Is it the only story, and does the occupation still deny its crimes against Palestinian journalists? This is Mohammed Shaban and welcome to you in the Beyond the Frame program, in which we discuss the most important contemporary topics related to the Palestinian issue from more than one perspective, bringing you closer to the Palestinian reality. Shireen Abu Aqila had been a Palestinian journalist and correspondent for Al Jazeera since 1997 from Jerusalem. Shireen went to cover the situation and developments in the Jenin camp, like any journalist who seeks to convey the truth to the world. But unexpectedly, the Israeli occupation forces assassinated her in a cold blood, despite her wearing of a breast vest and helmet.
احنا كنا مرتديين الزي، كنا لابسين الدروع ولابسين الخوذ كلياتنا بدون استثناء يعني. وقفنا في منطقة مفتوحة أمام الجبات الجيش الاحتلال، جيش الاحتلال استنانا لحد ما وصلنا لمنطقة صعب نرجع منها وبدأ بإطلاق النار علينا.
This proves that the Israeli forces targeting of Shireen is intentional and show the brutality of the occupation towards the Palestinian people. But what about the Israeli attitude?
על פי הנתונים הראשונים שבידינו, ישנו סיכוי לא מבוטל שהעיתונאית נפגעה בכלל מירי הפלסטינים החמושים. אך על מנת להגיע לחקר האמת, אנחנו צריכים לקיים חקירה אמיתית. והפלסטינים בשלב הזה מונעים את זה.
What the cameras documented and what witnesses and journalists said in the place showed that there were no Palestinian fighters near the place where Al Jazeera correspondent Shireen Abu Aqila was murdered. And eyewitnesses confirmed that the occupation forces had targeted Abu Aqila. The result was not as expected, which led to the contradiction in the occupation narrative, as the Israeli narrative about Shireen's murders was modified many times.
התבצע על ידי הפלסטינים ירי נרחב לעבר כוחותינו וירי פראי וחסר הבחנה לכל כיוון. בניגוד לפלסטינים, חיילי צה"ל מבצעים ירי מקצועי וסלקטיבי.
Why the Israeli government is trying to justify what happened? The extremist Itamar bin Gvir called in the Israeli occupation forces to shoot wildly when they are attacked, even if they were journalists for Al Jazeera. Though many evidence point to the responsibility of the occupation army for the assassination of Abu Aqila, Israel claims that it will conduct a real investigation on the issue to reach the truth, and in fact they want to hide the truth.
قتلت مراسلة الجزيرة شيرين أبو عقلة. هذه حادثة مفجعة ومؤسفة للغاية، ونقدم التعازي لعائلة أبو عقلة وزملائها. عرضت إسرائيل على الفلسطينيين إجراء تحقيق مشترك حول ظروف الحادث، عرضاً يرفضه الفلسطينيون حتى اللحظة بشكل قاطع.
Oh, they are sorry, but it's not the first time. The occupation has targeted 55 Palestinian journalists while doing their journalistic work since the Al-Aqsa Intifada in 2000. The occupation forces have also committed 468 violations against the Palestinian journalists since the beginning of 2021. But it's not only with journalists. You committed hundreds of massacres against Palestinians, which are classified genocide. Do you remember last year and exactly in the same time these days, your troops killed over 66 Palestinian kids and over 35 Palestinian women. Entire families were massacred after being targeted inside their houses, and the lines of your crimes never end. If you are sorry for Shireen and you feel sympathy for her family, so what about beating and kicking mourners next to her coffin? And injuring nearly more than 35 of the mourners. Have you ever heard the criminals investigate their crimes? This is exactly what Israeli occupation does. Israel has never conducted any independent, professional, and effective investigation when a Palestinian is killed by their military or police.
Do you trust them? Have they ever come back to you with saying these are the results? I mean, only in January, Omar Assad died in their custody. And you said, and he was a Palestinian American. And you said from that podium, you said that you are waiting on their investigation. You have not even followed through on this. So, do you trust the Israelis investigating them?
According to Associated Press, they have opened investigation into 24 potential criminal shootings of the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip over the past year. Yet, none of the cases have yielded convictions or justification. In most instances, the occupation army hasn't interviewed key witnesses or retrieved evidence from the field. B'Tselem, Israeli human rights group, grew so frustrated with the system that in 2016 it halted its decades-long practices of assisting military investigations. Despite the continuous Israeli violations against Palestinian journalists trying to conceal the truth and practice its crimes against Palestinians as usual, the voice of the truth will never be extinguished. And the message of Palestinian people and the issue will continue for generations. In conclusion, we, the 16th October Media Group, offer our sincere condolences to the family of the journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, asking Allah to grant them patience in their calamity. And we confirm that we will continue in the Shireen's path. Finally, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social media platform, 16th October Media Group. You'll find links to our pages in the description below. And salam.